Welcome to Visionary Voices Exchange, the podcast that disrupts how we think about blindness and low vision. So join us as we amplify the voices of individuals, families, and professionals living, learning, and thriving with blindness and low vision. We're your hosts, Janet LaBreck and Carlos Servan. Hello, Carlos.
Hey, Janet, here we are again.
Yes, absolutely. And I cannot believe that we are fast approaching the holidays. It seems like we just left summer.
I know it's getting cold here in Nebraska. In fact, last a couple of weeks, I had somebody put some more insulation on my attic.
Mm-hmm.
I had some several years ago, but it was time to get it done again. So I'm ready for the winter and the holidays. Well, I haven't buy presents yet, but as ready as I can get.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are going to be interested in what we have to talk about tonight. And I thought, since we are approaching the holidays, that it might be interesting to talk about, the types of gifts, the kinds of tools, some of the techniques, and some of the things that are available through some of the assistive technology organizations and companies like MaxiAids or Independent Living Aids. But I also thought it would be great to have you talk about what are some of the things that you do at the center in Nebraska that help people, to gain their independence. And I was thinking about that because I can imagine that when people leave at the end of their program there with you, that they want to take some of those devices home. They've just learned about them. They now know how those tools or devices have helped to increase their independence. So how about if we talk about that for a few minutes, and then we can start looking at some of the items that folks may be interested in buying for themselves or for their children or for a family member. And there's all kinds of things. It's endless.
Yep. Yeah, you're right. We can have a program for each area, I guess, in regards to what we're cooking. See, at the center, we focus a lot on raising expectations and using techniques of blindness or non-visual techniques so blind people can be integrated into society. That is, with the family, with a job, and participate also in holidays, social activities, and also in the family. So these days, for instance, people are getting big recipes for big gatherings with the families. One of the requirements before somebody graduates from our center is to cook a large meal, like for 20 to 30 people, and to use the techniques with very little adaptive equipment. The first thing is that they have to be safe. One of the few things that we use are spatulas for burgers, like we were talking earlier, Janet, to flip the burgers in a safe way so they won't burn themselves. When we do grilling, outside charcoal grilling, there is some kind of basket, flat basket with metals, and we put there the steaks. Same thing, we grill the steaks there. We have talking thermometers for grilling. I love those things because I like my beef on the grill.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. And some people like to do smoke, do smoke things, and that's good too with the thermometer. Some special gloves as well, Sometimes.
Yeah, the oven mitts, like for they have the really long ones for grilling, so that your arms are protected.
That's right. Yeah.
Are they learning on gas grills, or are they learning on charcoal, or both?
Well, gas, electric, charcoal. Yeah. We teach different things so they can learn. Also, we teach them decorations, how to decorate, do different things. Christmas tree is the most popular thing.
Sure.
Draw angels or make angels and presents. How to play games, adaptable games.
Oh my goodness! Yes, there are all kinds of adaptable games. And it's interesting because when I was a kid, none of these things were, were available. And so I, grew up not really knowing how to play some of those games because there was no way to actually play the games with, my peers in the neighborhood. And now it's completely the opposite. So,
well, and there are more and more those games that are very accessible.
yes.
You can play as an adult, as a little kid. Even if you are sighted, just close your eyes and pretend you're blind and
Yes.
have
Yes.
fun.
Use
But
your other senses.
holidays are to be with the family. Part of that is playing nice games, having hot chocolate, some dessert, sometimes taking a break from those games, and also watch a descriptive movie.
Mm-hmm.
That's another one,
Yes, audio described movies.
Audio described movies. That's
I use my audio description button on my television all the time, especially if it's a long movie, then I want to know what's going on, in the scenes and they describe it. I wish every program was audio described, but it isn't.
yeah, right. But can you
Unfortunately.
tell about that? How do you do it?
Yeah, so I usually will check at first, to see if the movie is audio described, and it would, in the menu they'll usually tell you if it is, and if it's captioned for hearing impaired individuals as well. That you'll see a setting in the modern TVs, today for that. And I love, that they describe the scene. So if there's a scene, for example, in a movie where there's a lot of dialogue going on, but there's also usually a lot of movement going on.
Right. Yeah.
And it's those non-visual cues that we miss. So, and by non-visual cues, it may be a certain look, that a person gives, to another person. It could be that they're frowning or that they're moving in a certain way. And the audio describer actually describes what's going on in that specific scene and in the movie, and it just helps to give you a better picture of what is going on in the movie so that you're not missing those critical cues.
Right. To our listeners, if you haven't tried those for a while or never, we encourage you to do it, because playing those games is part of being together with the family, being engaged, being part of what's going on. And if even after those games, you have something to talk about the movie, about the games. Let's talk about some games. How about that?
Okay, yes. So one of the games that I saw was Uno, and Uno has been around for a long time.
How about dos? I'm just kidding. Uno is one in Spanish, dos is two.
You got me. Okay. But Uno has been around for a long time, and it's always great to be able to play a game. Now, Monopoly has been around forever. There's all kinds of versions of it, and there are certainly Braille versions of Monopoly. What I love about the games is that it's about inclusion, so that if you're with your family and during the holidays and everybody's sitting around while the cooking's still going on and you're getting those wonderful scents from the kitchen coming in and people are sitting around talking, and after they catch up, somebody inevitably says, "Hey, let's play a game," or "Do we have any games that we can play?"
Yeah.
And these games allow everyone to participate. And that's what's so great about it. So they have it in Braille, they have it in large print. They also have other games like the dice. I think, Carlos, you were saying earlier that they have the dice that has the raised dots, on the dice. So if you have a game that uses those dice, then that lets.
So, Janet, where can I find those for our listeners?
Well, probably the most common, but I can also say that there's some others. So Maxi Aids is based in New York, and they, for many years now, have been producing assistive technology devices, games, sunglasses, specific lighting, technology solutions, both high tech and low tech for the home. talking microwave ovens, that talk, all kinds of watches for women, watches for men, watches for children. They have interactive learning tools. If you have a child who is blind, or you have a relative who has a child that is blind, these are great gifts, to give to them, because they're interactive educational toys that encourage the toddler or the young child to interact with these games by counting. And part of it's verbal, but there's also visuals on it. They also use sounds of animals on some of the talking technologies that teach children. This is the sound of an elephant. We take for granted that every child knows what these sounds are. And if you're a child who does not see, then don't take that for granted, because you need to expose them to that kind of educational tools so that they have those experiences. So they have everything you can imagine in terms of different types of tools. You were saying that you have a talking thermometer, meat thermometer?
Yep. Well, it's for the grill.
For the grill.
It will check how hot it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And so you stick the probe into the meat, and it tells.
No, actually, you put it in the charcoal, because that's how you're supposed to check the temperature there.
Right. But what about the temperature of the meat?
Not really, because then, according to the temperature from the heat, you know how long you're supposed to cook each side.
Okay.
If you want it medium well, rare. I like my medium well. Now I'm getting hungry, Janet.
Yeah. Well, I know I actually bought my brother for Christmas last year. He's always had a love for carpentry and making things. And the one thing he did not have was a tape measure. And you have to measure everything, when you're building something or fixing something. He likes to build clocks, and he likes to build things like cabinets and things like that, curio type cabinets. And he would always have to ask somebody else to help him with the measuring, and he hates that. And so I found the talking tape measure, and he absolutely loves it. So he uses that tape measure, to measure things. So
a talking tape measure. We use click rulers, but how is it talking? Does it talk at what time? I mean,
yeah, it tells you the actual measurements, so that when you open it up, and how if it didn't talk, you would just pull the tape measure out, from the little holder. And if you're measuring a 5-foot table, you put it on one end of the table and you go down to the other end. And this actually tells you, what the measurement is. And
so you press your finger where you want it to tell you the measurement, or?
Yeah, and they have them now that are even more sophisticated, that you can just point it to the object that you're measuring, and it will tell you, what the measurement is also. And there is a talking stud finder also, so that if you're trying to hang pictures or something like that, and you're not quite sure where the stud is. How many times have people, tried to hang pictures, and you're banging it?
To keep the level even, yeah.
Yes, and it goes right through because you're not into a stud. And so they have a talking stud finder, and there's all kinds of unique tools like that people can use that are very handy. And they also have all kinds of diabetic assistive technology, both high-tech and low-tech, that measures your insulin for you. And I'm sure you guys must use something like that at your center. So talk about that for a moment. When you're teaching diabetics.
Yeah, we have somebody who is diabetic herself, and she show our clients who has diabetes how to administer their medication, but also how to measure their blood, their insulin. Yep. Well, they get a strip, they get some, blood on it, a little They pinch their finger, get the blood on it, and then they put it in the machine and it resets for them.
Mm-hmm.
It will read it. It's like another other machine, but it just resets to them.
Yes.
Yep.
And that's so important, to be able to maintain your independence, but also your health, because you want to know what those numbers are saying so that you can adjust accordingly, particularly if you are type 1 diabetic, meaning insulin dependent.
Yep. And learning to do that is very important. Like you said, it's your independence. Instead of waiting for someone to come every day to check how you are doing, it's another world to be able to administer your own medication, to check your time, your schedule, and do what you want rather than relying on others.
Yeah, definitely. And, even some of the basic things that, a lot of individuals struggle with sometimes, particularly with different eye conditions, and the eye conditions, may vary, but is protecting your eyes. And I'm forever saying to people, we really need to be protective, of what vision we all have. We take it for granted. And that over time, being out in the sunlight, UV rays, staring at your computer screen, omits, different types of light that can be really harmful and irritating to people, depending on what what the eye condition may be. There's all kinds of sunglasses, that are out there. There are sunglasses that will cut down the glare. There are sunglasses that will give you better lighting if you're in a dark place and sort of increase, the visual for you so that it looks a little bit brighter depending on the color of the lenses. There are sunglasses that are wraparounds. They have also sunglasses that actually can clip on to your regular glasses that you might be wearing if you're wearing corrective lenses. So there's all kinds of ways and products out there to help with preserving the vision and minimizing the harmful rays and UV light, that just can be very irritating and cause headaches and eye strain over time. And so I always like to encourage people to use sunglasses. And sunglasses are so fashionable now.
These days, yeah. For our listeners, take notes of presents that you can buy for the holidays.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Talking about sunglasses, talking about equipment.
Yep.
Movies, on and on.
Yeah. And also, I think, that if someone is taking medications, for example, there are medication readers now. Pharmacies like CVS pharmacies and other pharmacies now have the ability to take anyone's list of the pills that they're taking. And there are tools that there's adaptive devices that you can buy through Maxi Aids or independent living aids. Check with your pharmacy also, where they can adapt the medication reader for you so that you put the bottle in the holder and it tells you all of the information about that medication. Tells you the name. It tells you how many times you're supposed to take it. It gives you that, the notice about do not take this medication, without food, or all the safety type precautions. But those kinds of adaptive devices are really important for people, particularly for elders who may be living alone and they don't have anybody necessarily to check their medications. And then there's pill organizers, all kinds of pill organizers, so that you can lay out your pills in the pill organizer, and you can do it by day, you can do it by week, you can lay them out by the month so that it has your pills are already proportioned out by the day, by the week, or by the month, so that you then have them in order, so that you're not missing the medication.
What I also wanted to emphasize is that all of that technology is moving very fast. To our listeners, get into the internet, just type what are the classes that are accessible to the blind.
Mm-hmm.
and start reading. And there's more and more development. During the conference that I went last week, I met with an engineer from Metaglass. They are talking about using more and more artificial intelligence. And they are not the only ones. There are other companies that are doing the same. When you are talking about like reading your medication, you put the medication in front of your glasses and you said, tell me what is in front of me. Read the label. And it will read the label. It will read the label.
Yes, it's absolutely amazing. So how long have you had your meta glasses?
Actually, it will be a year this Christmas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what do you use them for besides looking at a product? What do you use them for? Do you use them when you go out in the community?
Yeah, well, I mainly use it now as like a headsets to listen, to talk over the phone, so I don't have to be holding my phone. Mm-hmm. But when I travel, these days, sometimes they don't put the traditional shampoo and soap like they used to, or conditioner. Mm-hmm. They put bottles on the walls there.
Yes.
And how in the world are you going to know which one is what, I could try something and put it in my head until it gets some kind of thickness that I like. But so I just get the glasses and say, what is in front of me? And it reads it. Take a picture and read it for me. But I also like sometimes call my sisters, my brothers, or a friend, or my wife, or my kids, and say, okay, I'm at the airport. I'm trying to find such and such a gate. Yeah. Turn your face, look this way, start walking, keep walking. Yep, you are in that gate, this gate, that gate. Okay, how about the food court? Yep, keep going. That's what I use it to once in a while.
Yeah, so you're using the glasses also to travel inside of an airport to find your gate or to look for a specific restaurant or restroom, and they can actually navigate you because you're calling them, and they're able to see the space that you're in, and they can help you navigate.
Right. And a lot of times I do it myself, but
yeah,
like at the airports, the airports there are a lot of people, so you just follow the people. Ask somebody, okay, which gate it is. I usually do that. But sometimes when I want to talk to my siblings or a friend, as we're talking, okay, tell me what else is there. It's like I'm traveling and my friend is with me, kind of.
Yes.
Yeah, it's fun. I have a friend of mine. She said she uses her meta glasses when she goes to the grocery store or just to buy clothing. She calls her sister and says, okay, how about this blouse? Does it look good on me? How about this color? Or that's how she uses it too.
Yeah, and thinking about the apps now, there's so many apps on our smartphones now that are available in the App Store. So I use a color identifier also. So I downloaded it from the App Store. And so when I'm traveling, if I want to know what color something is, I usually, just as a tip, I usually always match up. If I'm going to be wearing a suit, then I match up everything before I travel. Then that way I don't have to worry about asking somebody, did I mix max something up here and come out with some wild colors on or patterns that are mixed? And so I don't want to do that. So I always try to match it up before I actually travel. But the App Store, so for example, Be My Eyes is I have that app, and it is a live volunteer program. There are volunteers all over the world, literally, that work with that, with Be My Eyes, in order to help individuals. So, there are times when I've traveled, I need to put my makeup on. And so I'll put my makeup on, and then I'll go to the app, Be My Eyes, and I tap a button and it says, you wish to call a volunteer? And I say, yes. And so they will route you to the next available volunteer, and the volunteer will come on, and I'm usually hoping that it's a woman because I'm doing
Right.
I'm doing makeup.
Yeah, yep.
And the person comes on, they'll tell you how to position your phone, and they can actually watch you apply the makeup. But then also, and those are live volunteers. That app is free. And then there's also Estee Lauder company, which is based in England, but they also have offices here in the U.S. And they have a visual assistive technology solution for women applying their makeup also. And so you actually have this app that you use, and it can tell you, it uses virtual reality to tell you whether or not you're applying it appropriately or where you're missing, a certain place on your face, and or if you want to put on lipstick, it tells you if you're on the line, your lip line, or you've gone too far over. And so there are all these different types of technology solutions, designed, to increase independence for us.
That's right. Yep. That's a good one. You mentioned this Be My Eyes is all over the world. So I assume they have choices for different languages.
Yeah, they do, and it's interesting because sometimes when I've called them, like especially when I'm traveling, if I usually have to get up pretty early, to get ready and all that stuff. So you don't, unless you make a special request, you'll get somebody who speaks English, or if you need somebody that's speaking another language. So it's a great service, and there are other services that are similar, to that too. So I think that there's lots and lots of opportunities, out there. And since we are thinking about Christmas and we're thinking about the holidays, and it doesn't have to be Christmas, you can do it for birthdays, anniversaries, wedding gifts. There's all kinds of things. Some of the watches that they have are beautiful. They have very colorful ones as well now. They actually have a watch now that's a vibrating watch.
Wow.
And what it does, and it vibrates, and you can set 12 different alarms on it. It's designed to for those individuals who may be, for example, living alone, or they might need, different periods during the day where they take a certain medication and they want to be mindful about being on time, so that you have the ability to set all these different alarms on it. That would probably drive me crazy, to be honest with you, but some people need that, and that would work for some people.
Right. And, there are also the smartphones that are accessible, and they do have alarms.
Yes.
I have a smartwatch, my Apple Watch. They're accessible. I have a heart condition, so I like to check how many steps I'm taking a day.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know a summary of my heart condition each week, and it talks to me.
And does it keep a record of the week, like what your readings were?
It does. And it keeps that on the cloud. So if I want to download it to give it to my doctor, it will do that too. Yeah.
Yeah, and we were talking about diabetics earlier, and I wanted to just mention also that there are a range of blood glucose monitors that also talk. And so that anyone who might be diabetic and doesn't have someone in the household with them to actually do the readings with them, then they can use one of the talking glucose monitors to measure, appropriately, and making sure that they are making the correct, decisions and adjustments if they're using insulin.
Right. I think they call it glucometer. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. And I mean, even things like crafts. There are so many different tools out there now that you can use. I personally like to sew some things myself. So, for example, if I lose a button, I want to be able to sew. You can't even find anyone these days that are just going to sew on a button. Where are you going to do that? to get that done today. We're such a throwaway society, people just throw it out. And but there are adaptive sewing needles, self-threading sewing needles that you just pop the thread in the top of the groove of the needle, and your needle is threaded, and so you can sew the button on yourself. And so I've always used those, and those work very nicely, and it does give you satisfaction that you're able to do it yourself.
Exactly. And you do it when you want rather than waiting for someone else or throwing it away.
Yes. And it's so hard sometimes. That's one of the things that I think that at some point in time we all struggle with when you have a disability, regardless of what the disability is that you want to be able to maximize your independence. You want to feel as though you are able to do it yourself. And even if you make a mistake, at least the attempt is what you tried. And if there's another way around it or an alternative, resource, then that's fine. But, it is hard, to wait.
Those who don't have disabilities, they also have mistakes.
They do, yeah.
A lot of times, I hear my sister, my wife, my colleagues, they're trying a new recipe. It doesn't come out right the first time.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and many times we the blind, because it doesn't come out right the first time, we start feeling bad.
Yes, we think.
We shouldn't,
Yes, we should not. No, everyone makes mistakes, and you're right. I mean, I can remember I used to love to try to start dinner for my mom, and I remember I was picking vegetables and things that we were going to cook, and I was boiling zucchini. And it was not cooking, and I'm like, what is wrong with this? And I realized later, my sister, who had vision, she said, "Why are you boiling cucumbers?" And I thought it was a zucchini because of the shape, that they have. And sometimes cucumbers are long, and sometimes they can be very thin. English cucumbers are very long. English cucumbers are very long. They're very thin. I buy English cucumbers all the time. But I had no clue that was not a zucchini. And I felt so bad, though, and, my mother said, "Hey, don't worry about it." She goes, "Now it doesn't cook. So
just try it again next time."
Yes, try it again. Yes, absolutely. Trial and error. And that's okay.
And that's on everything, yeah.
And I think also, too, that I'm always a big proponent of making sure that in the family that everyone has a role. Don't leave people out just because, they can't see or because they may have a mobility impairment. Integrate them in. It's about inclusion. And teaching that really helps to really build confidence. So I was always very grateful to my mom because she never left us out. If we were having dinner, she said, "Somebody's got to make the salad," and she would talk us through it. But after a while, we didn't need her, to talk us through it.
Yep.
So no matter how small you think the role is, give them that opportunity, to succeed and to feel more confident.
Especially for those little blind kids, parents, make sure to give them things to do according to their age.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It builds their self-esteem. It builds their knowledge, their ability to learn more, and also to ask questions. Why do we do it this way? Why that way? Blind kids should be able to do those things too.
Yeah, they definitely should be. And I can remember going to, when I went away to school, and I found out that the school had maids, and I was so happy. I was like, wow, we're going to have maids. And little did I know those maids weren't there for us. And they were like, "You got to make your own bed." I'm like, well, "What are you here for?" So, but they were teaching us just because.
Well, yeah, that's how life is. Yeah.
Yes, it's like you have to do your part, and we always had, dish duty or something that we needed to participate in doing.
Yeah, you do your laundry, clean the room, clean the
Yes.
kitchen, yep.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, and it's interesting because I was also a adjunct professor at the graduate level, and I would have I would have students with no disabilities, and they had no idea how to do their own laundry. And I'm like, what happened here? Wait a minute, you're in graduate school and you don't know how to do your own laundry? And it's just like you just can't imagine that. And I'm like, okay, we're not doing so bad, Ned. So
Yeah,
it
that happens on
yeah,
every family, all groups, I guess.
yes. Yeah. And it's so important though to be able to provide that opportunity. It is a gift. The gift of confidence and independence.
Yeah.
It's very valuable.
I remember as a blind parent, I was teaching my kids how to use the lawnmower, how to sew, use a sewing to sew wood. Uh, and I remember my son is 2 years older than my daughter. So my son was 8 years old. So I was talking to him, a boy, the oldest one. And then my daughter, 6 years old, how come you are not talking to me?
Oh, so he was feeling left out.
She was, yeah, and I thought, well, you're a little girl and you're only 6, but I was that way, but I didn't speak out.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, sure, you just listen first what I'm teaching your brother, and then I'll teach you. But, when I was teaching her, she already listened to it. So I showed her the second time and she did it right.
Mm-hmm.
I was teaching them how to play soccer, how to play basketball. So blind parents out there, just go out and work with your kids. I also work on teaching them, help them with their homework.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I thought as a blind young man, I thought, okay, I want to be a good father. So I'm going to take in school some family psychology, child psychology, some elementary school teacher classes, because elementary school is the foundation for the education.
Sure.
And that's what I thought. Okay, so I learned those things. And then at home, my wife will say, okay, I'm doing the cooking, you help the kids with their homework. And I did. And I have fun and they have fun. They never saw me as a blind dad who couldn't help them with their homework. Especially in math, I was good, teaching them elementary math for teachers. I took that one.
Mm-hmm.
And as a blind student, I had to adapt a lot of those things.
Sure.
So that's how I was teaching my kids too, with the adaptations I did. And they were learning hands-on. So they had that advantage that the other kids didn't have. So they learned from their books and from the blind dad with hands-on.
Yeah.
So, yep.
And I bet you they still use those skills today. And I know they won't forget that. And I know that when they have their families, that they'll carry that on.
My son is an architect now. And I remember maybe 10 years ago when he was still in school, sorry, we were in a Christmas holiday with some friends. And the question was, say something about your parents, mainly about presents, right?
Mm-hmm.
And my son said, well, I always like how my dad used to teach me math. That helped me, that made me feel very good.
Yeah, because he remembered that experience, but more importantly, he really valued that opportunity to have that interaction with you.
Yeah, I was very busy, but I didn't want to neglect my job as a dad too. So
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think we've given a lot of different tips here for some presents over the holidays, and not just for the holidays, but birthdays, anniversaries, weddings, you name it. There are
Yes.
lots of tools and lots of.
Forget about politics. Have fun. Enjoy the family.
That's right. Have fun. And that interaction with each other will get you a long way in life. And I think that it's really important. And I'm so happy that we have these types of, certainly these types of assistive technology and adaptive games and books and all kinds of things and all kinds of ways that we can encourage inclusion, independence, and certainly interaction. And so I'm excited for the holidays. We hope you guys are excited for the holidays. MaxiAids.com is one of the places that you can go and look at some of the aids and devices that we talked about here. IndependentLivingAids.com is also another catalog company that sells all kinds of adaptive technology, high-tech and low-tech solutions, some of the same things that we've talked about. There's a lot to look at, and there's a lot of opportunities there and options that people can take advantage of.
All right.
So as we go through this month, we will be back with you and hope that you've learned a lot about what we've talked about tonight and hope that you have happy shopping days for the upcoming holidays.
Yep. And more than happy shopping. Enjoy the family.
Yes.
Okay. Yep. I'll talk to you next time, Janet.
Yes, absolutely. Have a great week. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.